Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Live Market Analysis. It's a pleasure to be with you. Feels like I've done this already this week, but that's because I did a recording for you all on behalf of Market Index about uranium. So check out the Market Index website for that. There are new videos published and in progress as well, so that's an exciting development as well. Let us head to the disclaimer for tonight's presentation before we get started, which says that everything we're going to discuss this evening is general information only. It has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, objectives, or particular needs. So before acting upon this general information, you should consider it carefully in light of all of those items, or seek the help of a financial professional to determine its appropriateness for you. Always remember that trading, investing is risky. Markets go up, markets go down. They might not go the way you want. You could lose money. It's always important to remember that ultimately it's you and not I who's responsible for everything that you choose to do. The agenda for tonight is very simple, actually. You will ask questions about stuff you're interested in. It could be stocks, commodities, bonds, crypto, from anywhere around the world, and I'll give you my best technical analysis reader, or it could be anything to do with trading in general. So the 3 M's that we usually discuss here being methodology, money management, and mindset. So happy to do any sort of case studies that you're interested in. Let us kick off tonight's business end of proceedings by heading over to the AMI broker screen and doing our portfolio management model, where we look at the Nasdaq composite in the USA with maybe a bit of a twist of the Russell 2000 from time to time, depending on circumstance, and for Australia, the ASX 200, and we determine how much of our capital we are allowed to have at risk in the market at any one time. I'm just going to that's the standard zoom. Just going to zoom in a little bit there just to make things clearer for us all at the end. This was the last candle as per our last video on Monday evening a week ago, and we said full risk position. Obviously not a great candle, obviously not a great few candles development, but not enough necessarily to push us off full risk position. I might have said something along the lines of, look, if you don't want to add any new risk, don't add new risk, or if you are going to add new risk, then maybe consider kicking something else that's underperforming out of the US portfolio. Nothing has changed in my view. I'm maybe a little bit more bullish. It is pretty clear to me that that short-term uptrend ribbon, which we expect to offer dynamic demand or be a zone of dynamic excess demand in an uptrend, is doing its job. We've seen since that black candle, a little white one there, nothing really doing, but then a really solid demand side candle here, another solid demand side candle there, that downward shadow. Starting off that candle there, I'll just zoom in a little bit here. This candle here, the one that's highlighted with the blue line, would have been a black candle at some stage. It would have been pretty much a wall of selling. But by the end of the session, the demand had come in, soaked up that supply and pushed us up to the high. The next candle is much the same, and then a bit of a non-event on Friday, but still demand side oriented. So everything very much intact here. I can't see anything at all to worry about in this chart at this point in time, but I totally concede that we could be at the top of the bull market forevermore, and we'll never see this high achieved again in history. That is a possibility. I'm not being trying to, be dramatic here. It is always a possibility. And here's the wonderful thing. We don't care about that. We will adjust to that possibility becoming a reality when need be. Until then, we trade what we can see. Ladies and gentlemen, trade what you can see. And don't worry about what you can't, because we have the tools, we have the methodology, we have the smarts to know when that supply is coming in. Something like that would concern me. Something like that followed by that candle, that candle, that candle, and then that candle would concern me greatly, and we'll respond to that when it comes, but it's not there. Let us head over to the Russell 2000 just to complete that picture in the US. I think it is important we sort of twist the Russell into this analysis, because I have noticed that small and mid-cap stocks are doing very, very well over the last few days, whereas the Nasdaq's potentially stalling a little bit. So this just reinforces my belief that we're in a very, very strong bull market in the US, and therefore we should also still be at full risk position. Just for completeness, checking the mid-caps, which, dare I say, have closed at an all-time record high. All-time record high, there you go. So we're seeing a broadening out of the US bull market, which can only be a good thing. Okay, we're seeing the heart of corporate America participating in this rally, and we don't know what's coming next. I know I'm a broken record, but you would think that the very, very smart, very, very rich investors that are causing this price action, you would think they do know what's coming next, right? Conspiracy theories, and clearly they're not seeing anything that they're worried about either. So why should we be worried? Let's bring it home to Australia here, and it's all pretty good. I'm quite certain that last week we didn't have any of the trepidations we had for the Nasdaq. I'm pretty sure I said full risk position and nothing less. And it's going to be ditto this week. I did note in today's analysis in my market index evening wrap in that ChartWatch section where I covered the ASX 200 that today's upward shadow, it's small, I know, but it does indicate this latent supply that's sort of just lurking in the system. I'm talking about that candle there, and that candle there also. When you're making new highs with upward pointing shadows, it's not smacking of just total demand side dominance, is it? It's look, definitely the demand side's in control, but the supply is there and it is chipping away when it wants to. Okay, it's making itself felt at those higher prices only. So sell the rally, sort of sell it into strength. Anyway, maybe I'm making too much of it. Only time will tell. Full risk position is the gist of it there as well. So we are fully invested across those two markets. Let's have a whip around the grounds. We're going to head over to Europe first. And once again, we're seeing the result of, this Make America Great feeling that's engulfed global finance at the moment, and it's certainly not making France great. Germany's actually coming back pretty well. That's not surprising that economy's doing better than the French economy right now. The FTSE actually impressive, that last candle, so that's encouraging as well, and Spain is neither here nor there. The big question I'm asking by looking at these charts is there a red flag? Is there something there that really should push us off our full risk position that maybe the Americans haven't seen yet, but there is something sort of simmering under the surface in global finance. Not a great chart there for the Hang Seng, but I don't think a deal breaker. The Nikkei not looking fantastic. Again, not a deal breaker. India rallying back up there, that's encouraging. I'm probably thinking something to do with the cricket. And Shanghai not looking good either. So we're seeing some disappointment creeping back into those Chinese-focused markets, probably because they haven't had the bazooka in terms of stimulus that many had wanted, but not a wholesale disaster at this stage. Not great, don't get me wrong. That's not good, but it's not enough to push us off our full risk positions. Having a quick look at the sectors here in Australia, if you are allocating capital, maybe you're going to favour some of these sectors. Discretionary actually looks very good. Energy coming back a little bit, not too bad. I do note that Brent crude is stuck in a range, but kind of, clawing its way towards the top of that range. Natural gas prices have rallied. Uranium price heading the other way. We'll look at that in a little while. The financial sector is still number one. Gold is starting to lose momentum, let me say that. Healthcare, roughly equilibrium, a couple of good candles of late. Information technology, I think, is losing a little bit of momentum, but a lot of that is to do with the WiseTech, perhaps, that last candle there. Technology, that's the technology index. Look, I'm guessing different weightings, so maybe that's the one we should watch. Material sector doesn't look great. Resource sector, obviously, very similar there. Property sector, roughly equilibrium, maybe picking up a little as interest rates come off. We'll look at that in a second. Staples, one of the worst looking sectors. Telecommunications looking very, very strong, happy with that. Utilities, probably equilibrium. While we're here, let's have a look at the London Metals Exchange. And always fascinating for me to look at these because, again, this is the canary in the mine shaft of global economic growth. Flat there on aluminium, but still holding a short and long-term trend. That's encouraging. Copper, that doesn't look right, does it? That does not look good. Now consolidating beneath that long-term trend ribbon, and we know when we see that consolidation, short-term trend ribbon coming down, it smacks of long-term trend change, in this case back to downtrend. So that's disturbing. Iron ore, what is the date? Today's the 25th. The seasonal rally should be starting any minute now. It doesn't look like it is. That's interesting in itself and bearish as well. Nickel bouncing along the bottom there. Lead not far off that. Tin has broken down, and zinc just holding on to its gains. Aluminium the best of that bunch. But put to you that not those base metals aren't exactly screaming a strong outlook for global growth at this point in time. Having a look at lithium carbonate, we'll head back to the candlestick chart here. And what looked like a promising rally is probably too strong a word, but a rally has started to switch back to equilibrium in the short term. Lower peaks here, still high troughs, still short-term uptrend. Candles, I would say, are now mixed again, and really, it's all happening within the backdrop of this just incredible long-term downtrend that's still very much intact. So let's go equilibrium on that one. What about some of maybe the spodumene contracts? They are starting to flatten out. I would hardly say turning up there on the spodumene concentrate index, and actually, look, a half decent little double bottom pattern there with some rising peaks and rising troughs at the end for the spodumene concentrate 6%. That's the S&P Global Platts contract. While we're here, simply because it's easy access, we'll head over and look at the spot gold. Actually, we'll go to the futures on this because the futures has got an extra candle there, and the extra candle matters. Maybe we'll finish off by looking at, because I know it's here, that's the one I wanted to go to, the Australian dollar, which is very much in the doldrums there. Nothing too exciting on that one. Let us head over to the Trading View screen now. I'm sure you're all aware of the Black Friday Trading View sale. You're no doubt getting spammed with the emails as I am. If you are going to get a Trading View subscription for the first time, use the link, the referral link that I have sent you many times. If you haven't got it, well, you have, but if you can't remember where you saw it, send me an email and I'll send it back to you, and that gets us both US $15 to use against future subscriptions. Handy for us both. Let's start off here with silver, which is more of an equilibrium market. It was looking very, very good pre-US election, and the US election has completely changed that, and that is going to happen from time to time in markets. Fundamentals come out of places you didn't think they were going to come out of, and the demand-supply balance changes. I'm sorry, I don't make the markets, I just talk about them. The markets make themselves, and that's what we're looking at. A disturbing candle for gold. It's still live, that last one, so we're looking at Asian trade there, which is interesting, very interesting to see how this trades in the US tonight. It will need a long lower shadow to stave off, I think, something quite sinister here, because a big black candle that closes beneath the previous candle's low, that's Friday's candle there, the white one, and that's today's candle here, I think would reaffirm this change of trend. Very early stages still, but nonetheless, I think it will solidify this as a major point of supply, and then put this one in a bit of trouble here. But I don't analyse live candles, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to that one just yet. But it is starting to form a lower shadow. That's encouraging, but I'm putting it on notice, and I'm telling you that you need to do some analysis tomorrow. Having a look at high-grade copper, reflecting the London Metals Exchange one, maybe doesn't look as bad, but it certainly doesn't look great. It is consolidating beneath the long-term and short-term downtrends, and I think a break of 398.9 is going to push this into 389.3 and potentially 375. We obviously looked at iron ore before, flat to middling there with a slight long-term downtrend. I covered this one in the ChartWatch section of Market Index Evening Wrap tonight, just noting that we have pushed down yet again, as we would expect from that long-term downtrend ribbon, or long-term trend ribbon, but I have called already here we're in a long-term downtrend. I did say natural gas has popped a little bit, and it has. It's back in the long-term downtrend ribbon, but many a fledgling rally has been killed by that downtrend ribbon. And I did say that Brent crude was sort of edging towards the top of one of its many ranges it's trading in, but still very much sideways bound. Coal, so I know many of you are coal fans and fanatics out there. I don't know why. Good luck to you all. But that's still pretty much sideways there on thermal coal, and this met coal, metallurgical coal, of course, is doing what iron ore is doing. Let us finish our whip around the grounds by heading over to interest rate markets, where we are really looking at the price of money, and it's the price of money that impacts all other assets we've already talked about in many ways. We probably should start here, not finish here. But we have seen a little bit of a pullback there in the US 10-year yields from about 4.5-ish, 4.51 to at the moment 4.32. So doing the maths, what's that, about 16 basis points, so the better part of a US Federal Reserve interest rate cut. We are seeing, as I said, a moderation here in yields, and that is emboldening risk-taking in the stock market. However, the US 2s are still fairly steady, aren't they? But I think the 10s are probably going to have more of an impact on the market, the longer term durations there. Heading to Aussie 10s, a much bigger pullback from over 4.7 here to around about 4.45. So that is basically a full interest rate cut there administered by the market, and that is helping our stocks also. While we're here, there you go, look at that. We were, say, 6 months ago, certainly 12 months ago, looking at this index here and its friend here, that's the regional banks and the big banks in the US, as canaries in the mine shaft. They are no longer that way. They are big Trump trade beneficiaries. So if you're in the US and you've got bank stocks, I think you're doing pretty well. And I think we've seen everything we need to see there. So let us head over to the AIMI broker screen one more time, and we're going to now kick off with your requests. And the first request is going to be an offline one from both Adrian and Peter, who have both asked for BET, which is Betmakers Technology Group. Just making sure, admin-wise, that we don't have any late technical difficulties coming through, and I don't think there are. Betmakers is one I featured on this day here, so feature chart highest conviction. I look at that, I say plus 1/3 in my brain. Hopefully you guys and girls are starting to sort of see how that is a turnaround play for me, and they're worth a punt, aren't they? We're not putting the house on them, but we put a little bit of risk on them, and as they do well, I'm pretty sure I featured it on that one. Did I not? Plus 1/3 there, and I know tomorrow it's going to be in tomorrow's list as a feature. I've updated those watch lists for you already on TradingView. So just to annotate here, that would have been plus 1/3. Obviously, you can't get in on that day. You have to get in the next day. But in terms of signals, plus 1/3 here, and here's the third signal. So we'd be full risk position on this one. You might automatically then say, well, Carl, aren't you a bit worried about that point of supply, because I'm getting really good at spotting these now. I'm getting pretty good at drawing them. Carl, I might even draw one down to there, but no, I think that's probably overkill. I think I'm going to use that black candle, and I'm going to now send that across like that. Yeah, look, we're not far away from it, but I just think with the candle, we're not really showing much trepidation, are we? So I'm happy to give it a go from here. Volume is okay. Actually, look, I know way above average, but on these ones often we're seeing even more volume than that, but it's going up without a lot of supply, so that's good too, isn't it? So pretty happy with that. No reason for me why I couldn't continue to add risk. Full risk position, obviously, if I've got it, and I don't feel like adding risk, and that might be you as well, because you might say, look, I just want a little bit on this one. Turnaround plays, I'll have a bit less risk on this, I'll have a bit more risk on something else, or I'll be able to buy more stocks if I have less risk on this one. The next one here is 360 from Peter, and Peter is asking about a minus 1/3, and I don't think we're far away. So you can see the last time we talked about it was here, we said full risk position. Let's sort of track forward from there and see how we would have traded it if we were trading it day by day, getting your eye in. What about that candle there? Is that a reason to exit? Is that a reason to de-risk, to take 1/3 off the table? I don't think it is. Some of you might see that and get jittery and do it. And I'm just going to put a question mark there. Okay. But no, for me, that is not enough. Not enough of a signal to take anything off the table. So we will go forward by candle. What if I can do? I can do that. I just learned something about AIMI Broker, which I've been using for about 15 years. That's not great. That candle there is confirming this one. Okay, and I would say another black candle after this would push me out 1/3. Okay, certainly a close beneath here would push me out 1/3, and that's all we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about wholesale selling out. We're just talking about taking some risk off the table. So that's if this is how each night I'm doing my analysis. Hey, that's what you should be doing every night, making these sorts of decisions. Okay, we're okay. That's we're still concerned about where that arrow is, but we're less concerned about this being an end move here for 360. Not a great candle, but still not exactly confirming anything, is it? That one's a little bit more disturbing. Notice we didn't close beneath that low, so that's okay. We've tickled it, but certainly I'm starting to take more notice of what's going on. I reckon you could do a third there. And again, that's all we're talking about. So minus 1/3 for me on that one, simply because, I'm assuming also in a bull market like we have, there's other stuff that's showing greater momentum, maybe Betmakers on that day, that we want to maybe throw some risk at. So we're still 2/3. Certainly I'm going to be looking at the candles very closely, but also what would, if we get a close beneath that trend ribbon as well. Okay, but at least we've got a plan to get out. So few people have a plan. So let's say we got out that afternoon, and or if you got out this morning, that's fine. By the end of the candle, you're going, I probably didn't need to do that, but you're also not that unhappy either, because you've still got 2/3, don't you? That's just how the model works. And there we go. There's nothing to worry about. Get to that candle there. That's not enough to do anything about it. Neither is that one. Neither is that one. Neither is that one. Neither is that one. I wouldn't have any objections to adding some risk back on that day there. If you did it, no complaints. No complaints there either. All looking pretty hunky-dory. And then we get to this. How do you feel about that one? Okay. I don't think I'd be upsetting anybody if I said, a minus 1/3 on that one. As a precautionary measure, we've still got 2/3 of skin in the game. If you wanted to do more because it made you more nervous, that's up to you. That candle doesn't confirm it. That candle's not a signal to do any more, take any more risk off the table. Neither is that one. That one is. I think you can start to say, well, this one's got some problems now, isn't it? The momentum is not rampaging to the upside anymore. We know that. It's quite obvious. And, we're in this stuff for a good time, not a long time. We don't want to be stuck in this for a long time. So maybe we're 2/3 out there and we're just looking for an excuse to dump the final third. And I reckon for me, that's it there. I think I'm done with this one and it's time for me to move on. Today happened to be quite a solid candle, actually. Okay, but not enough for me to jump back in. There's no way I'm jumping back on this candle, because remember what I said, we need to undo the damage that's been done. And the damage is done here, okay, and we're nowhere near it. So I'm zero risk position here. At most for you, because I know that the person who asked this question, Peter, he's talking about getting rid of just 1/3. So I'm guessing Peter's maybe even FRP at this point in time. For you, if you still had a third in the game, on the basis that it's still a long-term uptrend, today's candle actually isn't that bad. No complaints from me, okay? Where would that change for you? Then certainly beneath here, a close beneath there, I think that is your point of no return. That one was for Peter. Thanks, Peter. Hopefully everybody else, that was a valuable little case study for you. Mick has got AVH, which is another turnaround play. You can see plus 1/3 is where I originally called it. Next high close here, we said plus 1/3. So on this candle here, we're looking for the box. We didn't get it, but that one's not bad. I'm pretty sure I ran it in the watch list on that day. I can't remember if it was a feature. I'm guessing it might not have been a feature, just was that upper shadow. But certainly a very, very strong candle. And today certainly is another strong candle, and that is why tomorrow it is going in as a feature chart tomorrow for a plus 1/3. So just a textbook turnaround play, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? This stuff should almost just be boring to you. It should just be banal and just pedestrian. You just do this stuff all the time now, isn't it, turnaround plays? Remember back in the old days when you had no idea when stuff was turning around, or when it was time to buy something that had crashed, and slowly. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, let's go to Mick, who's got another one that might be about to do that. It's very early stages. We do have an amber now, long-term downtrend ribbon, but we still need the dink. That much too. So this one's on the radar for me now for a turnaround play. The other good news is that every night I do this work for you. I do the scans. I do it for me too. It's not just for you. And I look to see whether it meets my criteria for a turnaround. And once it's done that dink, I'll let you know. If you happen to decide tonight that tonight's the night that you finally come to your senses, finally, and you decide, look, I can't stand another minute of listening to that idiot. And I'm just going to take it from here myself. If that's you, what I'm looking for, okay, that's fine. I totally understand. I just want to see any sort of supply side response, any sort of black candle, up shadow, lower high, lower. We're not going to get a lower low, are we? But any couple of candles inside this one, and then followed by, so just stylising here, okay, something that looks like that and maybe like that, and then, if there's a third candle that starts to look like this, okay, and then that's going to be where I start to go plus 1/3 as a turnaround setup. So everything else is checking out. We actually have a base pattern here. I know it's not an aggressive setup; it's gone past that, but we've got some sort of base pattern here. You could even say it's a bit longer than that. We do have a significant volume build-up and really a changing of the guard here in the volume, and certainly a nice push here to remove the supply. We do have predominance of white candles. We have rising peaks and rising troughs coming back in. We've got our short-term uptrend ribbon and then some really nice upside volatility as well. So it's doing all that stuff that we ask of our aggressive setups. It's also starting to now meet our turnaround setup, and therefore it's just a matter of being patient and waiting until it completes our checklist. Mick. Let's head to VEE, which I'm guessing Mick is interested in that last big white candle. Probably some news today, I don't know, but that's generally why these sorts of candles occur. It's not enough to undo the bad stuff that's been happening before that. Okay, so we still got some work to do. This one is much further away for me than AVH, but it will still need to do very similar stuff in that let's see it get above its long-term downtrend, long-term trend ribbon, not downtrend, but transitioning that way. Test holds, a little bit of a dink there, see how it responds into this area here, which is now going to be dynamic supply. But even if we do get above that, we've still got this area here to deal with, and then we've got sort of this area here to deal with. And for me, this is, I think, going to fall in the too hard basket. But happy to give it the benefit of the doubt when we see the candles. But for now, that's a pass for me. Not sure what setup that is, Mick. So Mick's written down turnaround setup. I don't think that's a turnaround setup yet. Let's go to, actually that's all three for Mick. Let's go to Colin. Colin's got GDG, which is, it's one of those easy ones, isn't it? I don't have to do a lot of work here. I think Colin might have said in his email if he's adding a third, saying that the candle today was not perfection, but it's all going very well. I think that was your email, Colin. Apologies if it wasn't, but it sounds pretty good to me. I'm going to agree with you if those were your comments. This is very close to perfection. Today's candle wasn't perfect, but it's good enough. The only thing that's holding me back from going plus 1/3 is just the proximity to $4. You're more likely to want to maybe just take a little bit off the table there. I'm pretty sure this is our first rodeo at $4. So let's abstain from adding the third. Let's just stick with the risk we've got. How about we split it down the middle? Depending on the candles we get it for, like if it's all white candles there, don't sell the third for the round number. Okay, if you get white candles, don't do it. It's fine. If you get a big black candle there, take the third off the table because it's the round number. Otherwise, there's continue to hold. But let me go FRP and not put the plus 1/3 at the end of it. How's that for a compromise? Let's go to Tom and Craig, who had XRF. Tom saying he almost sold on November 18. So let's look at that candle there, which is that one there, which is, I don't think it's enough in and of itself, Tom. I think you're being a little bit jittery. And I know the feeling, don't worry, I know what it feels like to be, in a trade that's either making money, maybe you're making money here, or close to break even. You see that, you're in a bit of a loss. But it's still not enough. I mean, there's no major sell signal here that this is really confirming. This is kind of the first sell signal in itself, because that's not terrible, that's nothing, that's okay. Actually, that's still pretty good. And this is your first sell signal. So if we confirm that, then we're going to, well, that's confirmed that, hasn't it? So that's probably the point. I don't think you mentioned that day, but that's the day where I think you start to question whether you're going to hold on or not. I still don't think it's enough because everything's still kind of good. If I see another black candle with a low close, then I don't think you can give it any more time. If you win a third there, I'm not going to complain. And that's it. Okay, so that's where we are going to say, look, that's enough for me. I'm just going to take a bit of risk off the table here. And we still haven't closed beneath any last troughs, don't forget. So, we down here, we're breaking some more rules. But I think that's how to respond to that price action there. Okay, and I can't make that move anymore, so we're going to go there. And you can see there that the trough level was respected. There you go. And here we back are today, and actually ran this as a feature chart. So I think you can get a little bit too caught in the moment sometimes. I don't think that was the wrong thing to do though. If you win a third on that one, and that's just trading sometimes. Okay, and in many ways, I think we're still pretty glad, aren't we? We're still pretty happy that this has done what it's done. Some people might have trouble. I don't know where that was. Let me get rid of that. And let me just put it there. FRP plus 1/3. Some people might have trouble buying back at a high price. I don't. It's irrelevant to me. I don't keep score by the price on the stock chart. I keep score by my account, my trading account. If it's growing or if it's shrinking, then I know I'm doing the right or the wrong thing. But I don't keep score by this. If I get in at 175 after I go down at 160, it doesn't bother me. But that's where I think we are on that one, Tom and Craig. Or Craig also saying, you could argue that the announcement of an acquisition created positive sentiment today. But what about the other 5 times the pattern has repeated since the beginning of the year? I don't know anything about the announcement. Tom, I think, asked that, and I don't care about it. 5 other patterns. Well, yeah, I mean, look, that's why why I prefer not to be all out at once. Like here, hanging on to a little bit, so we don't feel so bad about getting back into it here. Adding some back in. You're right. It has a habit of doing exactly these things, and that's why on this day here I said, well, we're not going to panic. We're not going to panic. We're not going to panic. Okay, it's kind of backed me into a corner now. I have to respond, but I responded in a very calm and calculated way. All right, Davis has. Let me zoom out to normal. Davis has CAY, which is looking very, very good. This one is Canyon Resources. We looked at it down here. It looks like where we said FRP plus 1/3. I know I've run it a few times. So hopefully for you, Davis, if you're in at 10, you still got it at 20. I'm hoping you've still got it at 20, Davis, because I don't think there's really anything here. There's nothing so sinister here. Like, that's not a great candle, but it's nothing in and of itself. That's not a great candle, but it's really doing nothing. Nothing. I can't see any reason for you, Davis, who bought on that day, to not still have every single share on that day here. And in fact, I put to you, you should really have been adding a bit along the way. So today is no change. Copy, paste. Isn't it wonderful? What a great model when you can just copy and paste. That's called consistency. Happy with that one, plus 1/3 FRP, Davis. I can't see a reason to sell a single share. That doesn't mean it's not going to go down tomorrow, but if it does, it's going to happen from something that I can't see right now. They are all the offline requests for the ASX. Let's head over to your comments over here. You're over here, by the way, not over there, but over here. So, Amber saying, hi, Carl, did you sell your Bitcoin? I didn't, actually. Didn't get to the 99.5, and I must admit I chickened out. I took it off. I honestly thought it would get to 99.5 in like it'd get to 100 in a big burst, a big blow off top, but it hasn't done that. So if we go Bitcoin here, USD, I always use on Trading View. I use the all-time history index as my basis. It got here with that candle 95. What's the high there? 90. Do that. There we go. 98.9. And it just there's just no point leaving a sell on for a round number at 99,500 for that reason. I thought it would blow up, touch it and then come down, and I'd be happy I'd got out. And I told you I was going to get out a half. So I've cancelled that order because much like the other one we saw getting to $4, there's just no drama. It's consolidating here, very little downside volatility. This next move is through 100 and it's going beyond that. And for me now, look, I do think I need to just get a little bit off the table here, just because, if anything, there is a round number going on. But I will wait for the candle now. I'll wait for the supply side candle to do that, and I'm going to do a third, and no more than that. So just back to normal trend trading here, business as usual. Still looks very good. If I was going to say if I had my Bitcoin, I'd be for FRP. If I didn't have it, I can't see why you can't add a third here at some stage. I know we're close to the round number, but there's more in it. Depends on what you're after, isn't it? Avant saying hello Avant. Robert asking for APX and Zip. Let's head back to the AMI broker screen after that little crypto interlude, and we're going to go back to normal Zoom and APX, which had a decent day today, but I think we've got some problems here. Avant, I think this is too much of a supply side push to be ignored. I think this candle is disturbing, but again, probably not enough to push you out of a third. It's all pretty yuck, if you get what I mean. If you did a third on that day, I wouldn't complain. But I think this is the day where I use this terminology. It's back to me in the corner. I just can't not respond to it anymore. No, that's a double negative. But minus a third here for me, 100%. I reckon minus a third on that day, and I know today's would frustrate the hell out of you on that basis. But I still think you've got a third in the game. If you haven't done anything, you can either do a third to catch up. I don't think you need to do any more than that. You can go FRP. I'm not adding a third here, so let's just leave it at that. FRP, not adding a third. And I think the next close beneath here, I'm personally all bets off, because this is a big candle. This is a demand side candle. We now, given this push, we now must not close beneath here. Okay, so I'm going to go so far as to say, for me, you do whatever you need to do, but close below, for me, equals ZRP. Okay, but at least we've got a really sensible line in the sand on this one. Turned around pretty quick, that one, didn't it? Frustrating, looked great. And again, that's markets, that's trading. We won't always see it coming. One that it's not coming at this stage. It still looks very, very strong. I ran it in tonight's list. I don't think I ran it as a feature, just because I'm not sure if we've undone at least half of what's happened here. Also, this trough just pushing a little bit too far into this second from last peak. So it wasn't the 10 out of 10. It's still very good. It's like a 9 out of 10. So don't make no mistake. It's still very good. But I don't think I ran it as a feature. Now, how can I check very quickly? Yes, I can check. Bear with me. Let me just check. I'm just curious now as to whether I ran it as a feature. It'll only take me a second. I did not. I did not run it as a feature. Okay, tiny upward shadow there, but still very, very good. If you are this way inclined, then I'm very much this way inclined as well. FRP plus 1/3. Okay, moving along to Robert, who's got IPX now and still looking very, very strong. IPX coming up. This one I did run as a feature, and I did run in the broader watch list, and I also did run as a feature. So let me just copy and paste that one. That is a very strong candle at the end, and we're not dealing, and I'll go back in a second, but we're not dealing with that the negativity that we've had on Zip over the last week and a half. So if we go Zip here, try that again. If we go Zip here, you can see this is what I'm just a little concerned about. Okay, don't get me wrong there, a little concerned about. And then IPX, we're just not dealing with that. We're at highs here. Keep in mind, $5 is not that far away, and $5 is a decent round number for this one. I reckon I'd knock a little bit off the table there. But otherwise, pretty happy to stick with that one. In the meantime, let's go to Adonis. Aussie stocks here again. Hub looking very, very good. one of the most featured charts, I think, in my ChartWatch uptrends. Watch this. And nothing to do here. Nothing is sinister in that candle at all there, Adonis, is it? And it could well be the highest price ever for Hub. It may never trade above there again. I don't know. I can't tell the future. Certainly FRP for me. Not adding a third because that candle just doesn't warrant it. It's not that type of candle. Okay. But happy holder anyway. Every single last share. Let's go to, the rest of those are US ones, so we'll keep moving. Vart has CCP. So the signal is here. That's the signal as a turnaround play. Just keeping an eye on that area there as potential supply. So we want to see some really, sort of strong candles. I'm kind of not seeing them, are we? Yeah, not ideal. There's some pretty solid supply side candles coming in here. Look, I think we can sort of give it that much room, order of magnitude. A close bit below there is going to be a manager risk. I'm going to say, just because it's obviously closing beneath the trough, all of these black candles, I think it's more of a close below is a kind of a 2/3. But yes, adding risk is off the table here. There's just no way. But we're just sort of determining whether we're going to hang or go. And if you added a third here, and given this up here, given this issue here, if you were bored of it and you wanted to go look for something else, even at this stage, without it closing beneath that trough, I wouldn't mind. There's just too many black candles there. So got two options: stick with what you've got. I've told you where you're going to get out of what you got, or just you're getting out for pretty close to break even and just going and doing something that's maybe a bit more prospective. That one's looking a bit sideways for me from here. Let's go to Ben. Is it too late to jump into Bitcoin and Dogecoin? Well, certainly I don't think it's too late to jump into Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of people waiting for 100,000 to go to maybe just let a few, to go off so that they can let a few go. But I think it's so cool and calm and collected at 100 that you kind of have to think there's more in it from here. To answer your question, I don't think it's too late. It's a trade. Is this the best setup you can see amongst all the other setups? You have X amount of dollars. You have X amount of opportunity. Try and put your dollars into the best opportunities. I hope that I've given you some way, a reliable method to determine which are the most prospective. And in many ways, I think, therefore, you can answer your own question. Can we look at PAR? We've done that one. Andrew needed a little bit more cooking, but not far away. We're going to keep an eye on it. Sue's got thoughts on CSL, which is a fascinating chart at this point in time. I had gotten quite bearish on it, actually. And rightly so. I'm pretty sure the first time I ran it in my downtrends list is about there. And certainly not higher than where it is. Pretty sure I ran it there and also ran it there. I might have even run it there. But yeah, look, rallying a little bit. It's definitely on the wrong side of the short and long-term trends. Sue is shorting. She's asking if she should get out completely. So well done for taking a short trade. Kudos. I reckon 1 in 10 of the people listening tonight are actively shorting. So kudos. And we should expect from time to time that our shorts may struggle in a bull market. I hope, Sue, also that you've got some of those other ones I've been putting on those lists that are literally just melting down. I hope this isn't the only one you have. No, I don't think we're getting out of all the trade just yet. And to understand when you would take some risk off the table here is, think of if you had inverted this chart, so literally flipped it this way, vertically, changed the trend colours, so green is pink and pink is green, and swap the colours of the candles around so that black candles are white candles. And I know it takes a little bit of visualisation, but if that was the case, this would actually still be a very, very strong uptrend that's just sort of pulling back to the support of the short-term trend ribbon. Well, in reality, it is a growing downward trend that is simply rallying to the supply of the short-term downtrend, and also some pretty solid, I think, static zones of supply as well. So I think it's still worth keeping, hanging in there. We are obviously watching and monitoring the fact that we're having a bit of a rally here, and it's a bit of a painful one. It's V-shaped. I don't want to see it close above the short-term trend ribbon. I certainly don't want to see it close sort of up here and up here. I mean, these are just giving you some areas where you may well want to reduce risk. If we see something like this, like a little higher trough and a nice white candle, then start to reduce your risk again, okay? It's frustrating. I'm totally with you on that. Again, just looking for the same signals we've all looked at up to this point, because we've looked at long case studies, trying to figure out when to get out of longs, and black candles pushed us out. Okay, well, white candles are going to push you out here. Closing beneath troughs pushed us out of those long trades. Well, closing above peaks, it's just the opposite. But there are, I don't mean this to point you or point out to you all the ones maybe that you didn't take, but I just want to remind everyone else here that, I think even in a bull market like this, there are so many great downtrends out there, and I do think you want to have just a couple. You don't have to go crazy. 2, 3 shorts in the mix. Okay. Pick the best 3 you can find, and 3 positions, like three slots for shorts, and just rotate the best ones you can through. And FYI, these are the best ones I feel for tomorrow. Okay, and these have been all in the list many times. So that's Bapcor there. Let me just get that off the screen. There we go. Bapcor, Coronado, Endeavour. I mean, again, if you turn these charts upside down, they would look incredible for longs, but they therefore must also look incredible for shorts. GrainCorp. Just look at that lack of upside volatility since that decline. That's just the most wonderful trend. Like it's taking candy from a baby there. Iluka, IPH, Calcium Group. What wonderful trends. Mineral Resources, we've done some drawing on that one. Let me get rid of those studies. Metcash, Nick Scarley, turnaround play. We talk for hours on Monday nights about turnaround plays. This is a turnaround play here, but for a downtrend. PMT, the most featured chart of anything. Pilbara Minerals, RFF, RHC, we've talked about that one, and then TPG. All very interesting for shorts at the moment. Okay, Sue's got TEA next, which was going the right way. We looked at this last week, didn't we? And it was fine. I haven't looked at this since. And we've got a decent candle here, and it's disturbing. So I think, as much as that was an FRP, there's some damage done here. There was some news out, was it there? They either reported or they held their AGM and provided some sort of trading update, and that's frustrating because often the trends will perpetuate just beautifully in the absence of news, and then news comes along and ruins everything. I really feel that we can't be FRP anymore. So I think we're at most here. We're at most 2, I can say that confidently. And I reckon beneath here, though, I think we're going to go ZRP. Okay. Close below equals ZRP for me. Let's go to JHX and CAT to finish off here. JHX, how are we going for time? Getting pretty close. Don't type any new ones in, please. This one is very tricky for me. It's been in my short and long list, and that's usually a pretty big red flag to just stay away. Effectively, we're doing this all right? And that's just chop. That is just chop. So these are dangerous ones. And even then, even if we manage to put in some demand side candles, we've still got to deal. We've still got to deal with this big thing up here. But for what it's worth, yes, it is still on the right side of the candles. Short-term uptrend, long-term uptrend. Good price action in that can I get rid of all this? In that the last rally. Let's go from here to here. Relatively shallow pullback compared to that last rally. Okay, there's a little peak in here. This last trough is definitely at or above this peak. In fact, it's above this peak also. So that's healthy. The candles could be better. Yes, they're predominantly white, but we are seeing some latent supply coming in here, probably in response to this. Okay, so that's our next level up. And we're going to watch very closely how the candles behave there. If we start to see these sorts of candles in and around this zone, okay, we're going to start to get quite concerned. And then, as mentioned before, even if we do break that area there, then we've got to deal with this area up here. And for me, this is falling in the too hard basket for me. If we go to something like Caterpillar, okay, you can see, and I'm not just talking about now, but prior to that, for the last 6 months, it's just completely different kettle of fish. Like, why are we fighting those sorts of battles when we can find charts like this? 360 is not $4, so not a round number. This here is not a fantastic candle. There is supply in the system now. All of this is about excess demand, and this is about supply finally coming in. One seller, two sellers. I don't know how many, but they're motivated at that point. They may have a few shares to sell and be done, and then the demand side, which we know is in place, takes over and pushes us to $4. Or they could be the beginning of a growing wall of supply that begins to equate the demand side, cause some sort of equilibrium before we do something like this. Just going through scenarios. But what I'm quite sure of is that this candle here, again, this candle here, tells us that supply has arrived. Is it enough in and of itself to take some off the table? I don't think so. I still think the pedigree is good here. The strength of this. If you were jittery, if you just couldn't handle it anymore, and or you are taking heed of this idea that, well, supply has arrived, we could be equilibrium here for a while. I've seen a bunch of other 10 out of 10s, and just on that basis alone, I'm going to knock a 30, and that's all we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. That is the extent of it. And we shouldn't get too caught up on these things, should we? We're not talking about wholesale getting out, but knocking a third, if only to go and do some other stuff on those charts out there. Okay? I don't mind that at all. But honestly, it's still FRP. It's really not enough in and of itself. And we'll be watching, obviously. We're not adding risk. That's also obvious, but we're watching for other signs that we've got problems here. And until then, FRP. Okay, thank you, Sue. Go to Peter, WA1. We did do some drawing last week, didn't we? And it's pretty much followed those drawings into the supply zone we predicted. So yeah, look, it is now starting to look more like a turnaround play, isn't it? We've actually even got that long-term uptrend based upon today's candle. Short-term trend has just flicked up. Okay, so yes, absolutely, now it's in the realms of turnaround play. It's going to be all about how it deals with this point of supply, zone of supply. And really all I need is the dink. So give me a good dink, a shallow pullback, and give me some really solid white candles in there, lower shadows, and you could even convince me, Peter. I'm also, though, going to be watching this area pretty closely and then wondering, what's my reward to risk? But with the right candle, I could be persuaded to give it a go. And that's really all we're talking about. So I know you're saying that you thought you might have been a bit early last time. I don't think you were early last time, and given developments, you're certainly not early now, if you're asking. Yeah, not an aggressive trade, it's more of a turnaround trade now. Let's go to Roscoe's got YAL. Coal stocks having some issues today, and this was the best of the looking of the coal stocks, especially when you add back in the dip from here, which is really about it not paying a dividend to buy something, and now it's looking like it might not buy it. It's a bit complicated on the fundamental side, and that can create complications on the demand and supply side, can't it? It's looking more equilibrium to me than it was last time we looked at it, which was here. There it was fine. It was more of a turnaround play. But since this, there is some fundamental stuff going on here, okay? And that's causing this volatility. And for me, therefore, I just think it's starting to put itself into the too hard basket. And I don't mind because I don't have any emotional attachments to things. I'm not a YAL fanboy. And if you're a YAL fanboy or fangirl, you know who you are and you know what that means. That's not me. I would have no qualms at all getting out here and just letting it do its thing. And when it starts to push back up here with some white candles, buying it back in and saying, you know what, I'm happy to miss 40 cents. I'm going to miss 5% just to not have to look at this thing for the next 6 weeks while it's mucking around. That's how I would trade it. But you trade it your way, Yancoal fanboys and girls. Jason has got SLM. I think these might be US ones. In fact, they are. So we'll keep moving. And we're probably going to switch over to US ones now anyway. Matthew's saying a US one there, which we'll look at in a second. And in fact, that is it. So let us head over to the trading view screen, and we're going to do all US stocks from here. Thank you everybody who contributed to those Aussie ones. And working back up the list now, which you can all see, you can all play along at home. Matthew's got WRBY, and he's given me a bit of an explanation here of what's going on. Hi, Carl. I was working through some tradecraft on WRBY. I went back to historical supply where there was some static supply coming in 2022, and that's easy enough to spot. We just go to our weekly chart, and 2022, I'm guessing this is the one up here, 15th to 17th of March. Yes, it is. The candle on 16th of March is a strong white candle. That's probably that one. See, I've only got weekly charts, end of week candles here. So let me go back to 2022. Matthew, I'm going to say straight away, you're probably overthinking this one if you are on the daily chart looking at 2022 candles. But we will continue here. So you said March. There we go, March. So yeah, I'm not sure why we're looking at the candles here, and we're talking about the 17th candles even stronger. This is completely irrelevant. This price action is meaningless to us. The only thing that matters is where that peaked out, because what is created at this point here is latent supply. Okay, buy the dippers came in here. Stock was falling, went from 60, lo and behold, found itself half price, less than half price at 30. The too cheap crowd came in. I think in March 22 there was some sort of market low, wasn't there? Whatever. Buy the dip came in. A bunch of people got caught in here. Wouldn't get out, refused to get out, now can't get out because they can't afford to take this loss. Lamenting this for 2 years, not all of them, because many of them would have just taken their medicine by now and gone on to do better things on every other stock in what has been the most incredible bull market in US history. Think about all of those people. The people that haven't got out, that's who we're worried about. And we're worried they're going to create some latent supply at that point. So let us not overanalyze what happened in March 2022. Strange volume in there. Well, if we're looking at a case study for there, then that's a different thing, okay? But if we're considering, so I'm just answering Matthew's comment that he's put in afterwards, if we're looking at a case study here and trying to determine, well, is there a setup there? That's a different thing. I'd be more interested in determining if there's a setup here, because it's useful to us, it's more useful to us. If we're determining what is the relevance of that level now, then the only thing that matters to us is that peak, for the reasons I've explained. If you've got a setup like the one you're discussing, because I just don't want to lose any more time by going back there, okay? So if I've taken it the wrong way, I've analysed it the wrong way, gone off a different tangent, I apologise. But if you've got something similar to what you're describing there in something that's happening now, and we can turn it into a potential setup, then please do, when that occurs, feed it back to me. But for now, just in the interests of keeping this one moving, and also making a point about what is the significance of historical supply, let's head over to here. For what it's worth, happy holder here. There's nothing in that chart that worries me at all. That last candle is not ideal, but it's far from exhibiting the sort of supply that would push me out of a full risk position here. So FRP on that one, not any risk on that last candle for obvious reasons. Okay, let's go to Jason, who's got SLM. No worries, Matthew. Thank you for your contribution. Very, very nice chart here. Wonderful candle at the end there. Looking at the weekly chart, there's nothing there that worries me at all. Don't go any further. Don't start zooming out. Don't go to the monthly chart. It's irrelevant. For all the reasons I just explained, there are going to be people who are stuck in from those historical levels, but most of them, if there's long enough between then and now, they've taken their licks, they're out. The older that point of supply, the less influential it will be by definition, because people have gotten out, okay? And we're not pegging everything on these levels. We're just using them to help understand what might be an area of supply. We won't know till we get there and we see the candles, like Bitcoin. I thought 100,000 would be an area of supply. We got there, the candles are fine. It's not. It turns out it's not. Who cares what I thought? It doesn't matter what I think, it matters what the market does. What the market's doing here is piling in to SLM Corporation like there's no tomorrow. They are looking at the universe of opportunity, every single place they could possibly put their cash, and they really want their cash in this one. And at the same time, the people who own this stock, they're not selling unless they're being compensated by higher and higher prices. This looks fantastic for me, absolute 10 out of 10, and therefore I'm going to turn off that alarm to tell me that to let everybody know that no more requests. And I'm going to click my typing tool, and I'm going to go FRP plus 1/3 here. Very, very strong setup and save. Going to the next one for Jason, which is BVFL, BV Financial. We saw earlier on that financial stocks are doing very, very well. I love buying strong stocks in strong sectors. You are riding the wave that is within the tide, okay? And if we're in a bull market, it's the wave on the tide, on the tsunami. Try and get as many factors going for you. You can find the best stock in the worst sector, but you've got the wave that's going against the tide, potentially, you know. So this one, very happy with. Again, just a quick zoom out. We might see some of those levels from the past, but remember, bank stocks not that long ago were melting down. Not the case here. FRP plus 1/3. I can't fault anything else. If I'm not talking about the rest of the technicals here, I apologise, but they're pretty self-explanatory, aren't they, for all the stuff I've taught you. Double greens, rising peaks and rising troughs, predominance of white candles, large candle at the end there, and actually some supply removal to boot is even better through that volume. Let's go to NGVC. I'm going to let go of my typing tool there. NGVC. Natural Grocers, okay, by Vitamin College. Wow! That's awesome. What a great looking chart. I wish we could go in the time machine. There's your signal, isn't it? That's where you start getting your risk in. That's where you get your second, third in. That's where you get your third in, and really you're just enjoying the fruits, no pun intended there, of your labour. But I can't fault this. You know, we do talk about these each week. This idea of these Hail Mary setups. That's my fourth setup, isn't it? The Hail Mary, which is a subset of the continuation setup, which is this one is. FRP plus 1/3, and it's for those people who can't buy charts like this. They just think, I can't buy this, it's got too much. As soon as I buy it, it's going to crash. It won't crash as soon as you buy it. Everything is telling you this is not going to crash. Like, it is sheer perfection, 10 out of 10 excess demand. Why would you, buying your parcel of $500 or $1,000 or whatever you're going to buy, Why would that ring a bell somewhere on the NYSE to start selling? So it's one of those Hail Mary ones. Just buy some and see how it goes, if only to see how it goes. Click save. Let's go to the next one from Jason, which is MPLX. MPLX. And that is actually its name, and just as good as each of those other ones. I know I didn't check the weekly chart of the previous one, but I don't think I need to. It's so good. And this one here has got nothing at all wrong with it. And therefore 10 out of 10 on all of these setups, Jason. So you're running at 40 out of 40 at this point in time, plus 1/3 there for me. Or whatever risk that you want to put on it. Let's go to Roscoe. Well, actually, Roscoe, that's an Australian one. Peter's got some US stocks here. I should do the offline one first from Craig, who's got AMD. I often forget the US offliners, don't I? And then I have to answer them manually during the week. I'm guessing Craig's looking at shorts here. Yes, it's in that realms of shortability beneath the long-term trend ribbon in a short-term downtrend with lower peaks and lower troughs, predominantly black candles. I'm not seeing that the downside volatility here that I would like to see. It's not far off, but it's a 7 out of 10 for shorting. We've just got to deal with this. There's some demand here, latent demand here. There's some latent demand here. It's probably still it's a bit like James Hardie, but upside down. It's probably still more sideways than anything else for a short. Okay, you didn't give any other information, Craig, so I'm assuming that's what you're doing. If it's a long, well, it can't be a long for all the reasons why I've discussed. Next time, just give me a little bit more information as to what you're after. Okay, let's go to Peter, who's got TGTX, TG Therapeutics. I'm pretty sure we looked at this one fairly recently. Yes, we did. In fact, twice. FRP. You've got a little bit of a what's the right word here? A little bit of a shot across the bow here, or a little bit of a reason for concern. That's a nasty candle, and this one follows through. I think if you took a third off the table in that day, I wouldn't have complained at all. Especially considering, well, no, we're through 30. 30's irrelevant. But I wouldn't mind. And then you're just hanging on with what you've got for the other 2/3. If you haven't done anything at all, are you adding risk here? Let's check the weekly chart. We're dealing with this. I think that's what's happening. That's why we had this shadow, and that's why I've got a little... So we're dealing with this, but largely dealt with. I think largely dealt with. There's another little level up here around about 40, and 40 is the round number anyway. Look, where are we at? 34-ish. Look, I don't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, if you feel that this is the best thing out there, I mean, you know how to compare setups. It's very strong, don't get me wrong. This little shadow here and this little shadow here, but take those out, we're up there. We're close to 10 out of 10 again. Okay, so I don't mind. FRP plus 1/3 for me. Or if it suits you, just sticking with what you've got and enjoying that too. That's fine. Let's go to QFIN. Is that Shifu? Shifu is like the Chinese word for like a master. Is that what that is? I don't know. Maybe I'm showing. Oh, I've got a thumbs up. There you go. I know I pronounced that wrong, but I think I'm on the right track. That is looking very, very good. I'm just going to quickly zoom out here. No, that's fine. I mean, look, this is not far away. Keep that in mind. But it's over 2 years ago. We'll see some latent demand up there, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. Okay, but we know it's there. We're going into this eyes wide open. Look, very strong. It still needs a little bit of work. I still need that one last emphatic candle. So this is it. Look, yes, it's a yes for me, but it looks FRP if you've got it. But there's still a little bit of work to do compared to some of the other ones, which were all emphatic white candles. So let's go FRP on the next high close, okay, and then certainly yes for me because everything else checks out. Click save on that one. I'm not sure where that was. Where was that? Did I move that? Let me delete it. Which is a shame if it was somewhere in here. Let's go to. I don't want to miss any. I want to make sure I get them all. I think I've got them all. Adonis has a few here. DECK, DEC, which is Deckers Outdoor. Very strong Adonis. Let me just back to our default zoom there. Going to double check back out here. Nothing to, oh, it's wonderful. What a great looking chart. Very happy with that. Love the gap and run. It is a little bit close to $200. That would be my only trepidation here. And that's it. That's literally it. Going into these things eyes wide open, it is blue sky. You know, that's helping me. But understand, if this peaked out at $200 and then pulled back by 10%, it wouldn't surprise me either. So this is a tradecraft issue. It's not a setup issue. I'm dealing in setups here. It's a yes for me on the setup. It's a very strong setup. Do your tradecraft on all the setups that you have, and you'll understand where this sits among those. CMG, which is Chipotle Mexican Grill. Not bad. Not as strong as some of the other ones. It's more of a turnaround play. And we do want to have a mix of setups. Obviously, given it's a turnaround play, we're going to have big points of supply to deal with. And because it's a turnaround play, they're probably more recent, aren't they? So, just be careful on this one. I think it's okay. I don't think it's the best turnaround setup we've seen. I think whilst we're in the shadow of this, it might be a bit of a dibbly-dobbler, right? Yes, I can see every chance that it goes from 62 into 69, okay? But it might be a bit slow and steady given that you've got a bit of a point here, and always in these turnaround plays, I want to see, you know, the damage that was done here, and this is severe damage. I want to see at least half of that undone, you know. Look, it's a yes for me, FRP, but it's not my strongest one. So personally, I wouldn't do a third on that because I'm quite confident I'll find something else that I can find a third on, apart from that one. Let's go to Palantir, which is still very good. Obviously, we've looked at it a couple of times recently. Absolutely 100% holding every single share I have here. There's no question about that. Wouldn't be letting a single share go of Palantir. FRP plus 1/3, happy to. And the last one for tonight is going to be Home Depot, also from Adonis. And looks very good, yeah. Look, happy with that one. Let me just double check. There's nothing out here, and there isn't. It's blue sky. That makes it look even better to me. It looks a bit more slow and steady, doesn't it? I mean, it has had impacted upon it a greater degree of excess supply from time to time. It's trying to overcome that. In fact, it looks like it is right now. It's dealt with 400. It's broken through it. It's tested it, you know, and it's held it. Short-term uptrend ribbon is good. Last two candles are great. Long-term uptrend ribbon is good. Price action could be a little bit better, but it is working its way to a close above this. So it's a yes from me. Is this the strongest setup out there? Look, I don't think it's the strongest, but it's not far off at all. And it's very different from the other ones. And there's some benefit to diversification. They're a different type of long setup there. But absolutely, yes, FRP plus 1/3 for me. I'm just going to check back down the list to make sure I haven't missed anybody. Matthew's sneaking in 1. And OPFI, happy to do that for you, Matthew. If I let go of that, undo that, OPFI. And it looks fantastic. Oh, look, I'm glad you brought it to my attention. I don't know why you wouldn't bring it to my attention, because it does look fantastic. And this is up there with the best of the setups I've seen. Well, look, still more of a turnaround play, but I don't think we've got anything to worry about until we get into $10. And I'm going to put to you on a tradecraft basis, if our stop's going, well, even under here, $10 is not going to be an issue. Okay. So yes for me. Happy FRP if I've got it, but also plus 1/3 on a very strong setup across the ones that we've seen today. All right, I think that is it now. So let us head back to the PowerPoint presentation and remind everybody that everything we've discussed tonight is general in nature, has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, objectives, or particular needs. So before acting upon this general advice, you should consider it carefully or seek the help of a financial professional to determine its appropriateness for you. Always remember that trading is risky. Markets go up, markets go down. You could lose money. Okay. Hopefully I've given you a toolkit for understanding how to lose money in style, isn't it? In style, but without any great fear of the unknown. It's always you and not I who's responsible for the stuff you do. Apart from that, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today or this evening. All the best for your trading and investing until we catch up again. Bye-bye for now.